situation that I know of at Bangkok University. For that matter, I suspect most universities. There may be some attempts, but as far as the adoption of the cell phone in the classroom to use it to learn specific tasks, which they then could be tested on to find out if they learned anything, that's not being done. Dr. Kirkpatrick, when addressed the same question, said, we are not even going to compare test results with what they have learned using the digital technologies with the earlier ways of teaching centered no need, no time. But let's find out anyway. But what's interesting here is that the students already want to communicate with the teacher with assignments, video conferencing, email, voice clips, direct video calls. They want that. They know about it. They're not getting it. Software programs that would make learning English easier, they're asking for it. They don't have it. If I had a software program, I could let them download into their cell phone and develop a particular lesson using it. They would like it. Download e-learning lessons. These are comments given to me by the students who were given the question. Interacting with the internet. They would like that. All I've heard all day is this is what's going on in the world, but these students want it, and I'm not able to give it to them. I would like to give it to them. I would like to try that. So we're going to try to set up some laboratories where we can actually do that for them. And applications to learn English and search knowledge more efficiently, they want that too. The students in the room, they know that they have access to other kinds of knowledge. They're not getting as much as they can get, as you've seen with Google Earth and many of the other types of applications. So there is a motivational problem, there is an attention deficit disorder, and there's also an attitude kind of like situation where they're not, it looks like they're not paying attention. All right. So in summary, the 200 students at Bangkok University surveyed said they would like to use their cell phones to learn English. I'm happy to hear that. They also want to learn new techniques to learn English with new digital applications. They're not getting it. We're getting it at the seminar, at the conference here. The students are asking for it. So in many situations, because of maybe institutional curricular design, it is not available. But here at the conference, of course, we're seeing it is available, but it has to be adopted. And they want to interact with the teacher in a meaningful, task-based activities way using their cell phone. Well, the last sentence that I have on the presentation is that it's the teacher's turn. It's our turn. I'll say our for those of us that are teachers. It's the teacher's turn that we have to learn how to use. Maybe we know, well, we have to learn how to use it, and we have to learn how to implement it. We have to actually design a lesson or an activity where we're getting a result back. And that is so far, that's as far as I've gone with this survey. The next survey, phase 2, is coming up next semester, and then the latter part next year we'll have phase 3 with a whole lesson plan. So, with that in mind, for the teachers that are out there, I would very much like you to ask any questions you have about how do you use this in the classroom. You see that it's available. Are you using it? And are you getting results? Any ideas? Yes?
We already know each other. Just briefly, my name is Freek Olaf de Groot. I'm from Asian University. I'm head of the Master of Education program. And I have a question. Obviously, we see that the students are ready for the implementation of mobile devices into language learning. My question is, do you personally think that both socially and pedagogically, Thailand as a learning environment would be ready for these kind of implementations? I mean, we've heard different predictions from both Professor Kirkpatrick and Dr. Churchill about how this is going to evolve and what it's going to look like tomorrow or in the future. But do you think that Thailand, as a learning environment, would be ready to implement this on a relatively early basis?
I've heard several comments about Thai students, and they're perhaps culturally different, naturally, from European, and perhaps not completely adaptable to this type of learning environment using the technologies. I would say that in my experience, I find a Thai student very, very creative, and they model very, very quickly, and they independently create their own ideas. And it's in that context that I think the technology can work. It's up to the teacher to understand the learning qualities that a Thai student has. And if, as I have found, my students are not that what you would call learner-based with the classroom activities that they're getting, but I see them very interested in using the other technologies in front of me, I'm led to believe that there's a good chance that if I get them to use a lesson with the device that they're already preoccupied with, I can bring them back into the classroom, remotivate them for learning, and that way encourage them for lifelong learning as well. This particular situation was evident at a high school in Silicon Valley where many of the A students at the beginning were failing because they were independently using these devices outside of the classroom. A behavioral psychologist from Harvard University came into this high school, saw that that was the problem, and reintegrated the student back into the high school by having the lesson plan administered outside of the classroom and asked the student to bring it into the classroom using the technology. So there's inside classroom learning and there's outside classroom learning, and that has been the research that we're at today is showing that there's outside classroom activity. You just saw that with Dr. Churchill bringing the cell phone to the river. That's an example. So we have to learn how to integrate what is being done independently, personally, with a student, and when they come to the classroom, have them, when they come, they'll know that they're going to be doing something with the same technology that they're doing outside of the classroom. It's my conviction and it's my feeling that there is going to be a positive outcome if we do that. But we have to do it. We have to find out if that's really the case. So we would actually have to institute an activity, maybe a lab. I would strongly suggest that we have labs. Every school should have a lab, a digital learning laboratory, a classroom, 5 or 6 people. If the technology, as we have seen, presented, is pervasive as it is worldwide, then one can only jump to some conclusion that we have to see how it works for the Thai student I mean, and specifically because I have to teach Thai students. This is how many Thai teachers are in the room? I don't know. Do we have any Thai teachers in the room that would like to use the technology in their classroom?
I do too. Dr. Bogart, I have one experience to share with everyone too. I have a problem. I usually make my students submit their work through my email. And I feel like when I try to read their writing work, finally I need to print it out anyway, since it's kind of like it's difficult to read out from the monitor.
Specifically because I have to teach Thai students. This is how many Thai teachers are in the room? I don't know. Do we have any Thai teachers in the room that would like to use the technology in their classroom?
I do too. Dr. Bogart, I have one experience to share with everyone too. I have a problem. I usually make my students submit their work through my email. And I feel like when I try to read their writing work, finally I need to print it out anyway, since it's kind of like it's difficult to read out from the monitor. So I feel like it's like took so much time in order to have them use the online technology. But it's good at least to show them how to use it. But for me, myself, as a teacher who's kind of like low technology, I feel like that's my big problem. Do you have any idea to help me out?
Time is a factor. As a teacher, you have to do the lesson plan, institute the lesson plan, get the answer back, figure it out, and then give it back to the student. It's not an easy, it's easy, but I always say to my students, it's easy, but it's not easy.
Right, more work.
It works, but you have to find the time to make it work. And I think the big thing is learning, and I didn't bring that up. But what is learning in itself? I mean, as Dr. Churchill had mentioned, that new way of learning, we have to accept the fact that we would render and view. Render and view, I think, was the comment. We have to realize that a student may not be good at reading, writing, and speaking. I don't know what happens to literature in a situation like that. But then rendering and viewing was the new way. And if rendering and viewing becomes the new way, well, then how do you measure learning based on rendering and viewing? So these are a lot of nitty-gritty, sticky little questions about the pedagogy of learning, or the taxonomy, or how you would go about a step-by-step procedure using the device. I say add it as maybe the first 20 minutes of the class, and the rest of the class be a similar situation, and over time, perhaps more and more, or one class would be instituted at the school where you'd have one class that would be a digital class, and the rest of the classes would be normal classes. But if the institution is going to use these technologies as they seem to be being explored by the Open University in the UK and Hong Kong University that we've just seen, and then we have to figure out a way how to bring it into the classroom. That's what I've decided to do, and perhaps another year I can come back and give you the results of Phase 3 or something like that.
Thank you, Dr. Bogart. Since we are running out of the time, so it's time for the recess. And the coffee break is provided outside the room at the hallway, and we will come back at 3:30. Thank you, Dr. Bogart.